or nothing, dude.
Can't be the party pooper.
Huh? I do have.
What I was about to say. Oh yeah. So for Antoine and Garrett, just to let you guys know, feel free, to be argumentative as you want to, because we definitely argue with each other, at times. So, and obviously not in like a serious way, but just debating over the films or whatever. So, feel free, speak your mind, let your voice be heard. Don't hold back at all.
It did get really intense, where I serious enough where I took off my glasses and I threw them, because these two, they just weren't listening to reason.
All right.
So yeah, you can throw your glasses, Antoine, if you want to.
Hey, Daryl knows I'm very argumentative. I'm gonna bring it. He knows.
Definitely.
Gotcha. All right, well, let's do it. Lonnie, you ready?
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Dumbass Film Students. I'm one of your hosts, Daryl Henry, go by the name of D.A. Henry. Got with me Rudy Wilson with the bucket hat. How's it going, Rudy?
I'm good. Why you say D.A. so hard? You like, I go by D.A. Henry.
I gotta emphasize that D, emphasize. Along with him, we got Lonnie Cox with the backwards trucker hat. Is that the actual trucker hat?
Yeah, this is the trucker hat. I think a trucker hat has the screen and then the thing on the front.
Oh, that's called a screen. I actually was calling that like a net.
Well, screen, net, I don't know. It looks like a screen. I don't know.
And then I brought with me two special guests today, Antoine Richardson and Garrett Tiem. Antoine is a visual effects artist, one of the best ones that I know out here in this game.
What a sweetheart.
And Garrett is by far the most experimental filmmaker that I know. He will. He did a.
So he does porn.
No. But I would say Garrett Garrett does have a vision, and he's not afraid to really take risk and really step outside the box of what is.
God damn it, Shania. God damn it.
He's getting such a beautiful info.
Yes.
Where do you see?
Right there. I don't see it.
I
Yeah.
see.
You had 35 minutes to find them slippers.
All right. Anyways, but Garrett is a great filmmaker that I've met at NIFA. He showed me his short film about this. We talked about this. It was an alien coming to Earth, and
You mean the anal probing one?
Huh?
You mean the anal probing one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so far, I guess, out of the norm for me, so I really enjoyed it. So we'll start off with the first question. How did you guys get into filmmaking? And yeah, that's the first question. We'll start with Antoine.
My story is pretty straightforward. I started off with a high school theater student, which then drove me to acting, which then drove me to doing it for film. And then I liked doing it in front of the camera so much that I was like, I'm going to see what's like on the other side of the camera. So I started doing filmmaking independently, made some really bad stuff, made some okay stuff. And then I met Daryl Henry here, Mr. D.A. Henry at the Art Institute. And we kind of like started making some stuff together. We kind of liked each other's flow. But mostly as Daryl said, I moved towards the visual effects. But that's not to say that I don't love film more than visual effects, because I definitely like analyzing film a little bit more. But that's how I like to think about film, and that's how I got into it.
As far as analyzing film, Antoine will hate a film for the first hour.
This is true. I don't. You'll come to see. I pretty much don't like anything.
Unless it's Christopher Nolan.
Unless it's Christopher Nolan is the best, man. You can't go wrong with Christopher Nolan.
Is it Nolan or is it his brother? That's what I've been wondering lately.
That's a good question.
that is a very good
I
question.
noticed they started for the first time doing projects separately, and one of them is Westworld, and the other one was Dunkirk.
But I love Dunkirk.
Yeah, but there's so many flaws with it.
I mean, but there's so many flaws with Westworld.
First season though was brilliant.
No,
Yeah,
come
it
on.
was.
Okay.
I did
Having
love
multiple
the
timelines
first
like
season.
that. Ooh.
Yeah. But Garrett, why don't you tell us how you got into filmmaking?
My story is similar to Antoine's, actually. In middle school, we had a class that would teach you how to use iMovie. And then in high school, it was a similar class, but would teach you how to use like Final Cut Pro. And from there, I started running the announcements.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. How old are you?
Who?
You.
21.
Okay, because first of all, you don't look that young. But when you said you were learning iMovie in middle school, I'm like, yo, iMovie wasn't even thought of when I was in middle school.
Right.
So that's why I'm like, what the fuck was you learning iMovie? Like,
When I was in middle school, the iPod still had like a thing that you would turn it with. Like,
Yeah,
it still had
yeah.
like an actual dial.
Yep.
right. That's like, okay. So you okay? So you 21. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's
You
fine.
were in the middle of learning Final Cut Pro.
Yeah, and I started running the announcements at that point, and then my last 2 years of high school, I convinced my school to let me go to a different school for the last half of the day, where I got to learn animation and film from like a career center.
You
So-
grew up in luxury. That's what it sounds like.
No, just Indiana. But there were so few options. Like when I was really telling my guidance counselor I want to do film, and they're telling me, that's not really realistic. And I'm like, look, your job isn't to tell me what's realistic. It's to help me do what I want.
Right.
From there, I was able to, get to go to this other school, and that actually helped me get into NIFA. So, yeah.
So, what is it that you are, I guess, your end result when it comes to film? Like, what position do you want to have in the industry?
I guess it's kind of because it's so early in my career. Like, I know I want to write and direct films, but if that takes me down a path of being more of a screenwriter, I'll be happy. If that takes me down a path of being more of just a filmmaker for hire, I'll be happy. But I guess like perfect world, I'd love to be the next Roger Corman.
Cool.
That would be fun.
What about you, Antoine?
Well, it's funny. Even though I do visual effects, as you know, Daryl, my favorite thing to do is editing. And it's kind of funny because before the podcast started, we were talking about Avid and how I've never used it, but I use Premiere Pro, and editing is, if I could ever have the dream job, it would be editing.
Okay.
Like just like the basic editing, or like what part of post, I guess, specifically? Just doing the actual cut of the film?
Yeah, doing the actual cut, putting it together, yeah.
Being the actual director of the film. Because
Well,
I feel like the editors are not necessarily the true directors, but I mean, they pretty much have just as much power.
Yeah, I would say the editor is the person that comes in second or third to how the film comes out. As far
The
as
best directors have the best relationships with their editors, like Quentin Tarantino and those guys, Martin Scorsese. Like, their relationship with their editor is what makes them great.
Yeah,
that's why they.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all I was gonna say was that you can tell that because they always use the same editors.
Right.
Just have that relationship.
Yeah, I agree with what everybody's saying, but I was just gonna disagree with you real quick, Daryl, because I wouldn't say that they have just as much power, because an editor can only do with what they're given. You know what I'm saying? And as opposed to the director is deciding what's going to be provided. You know what I'm saying? So I think that they are in full control in reference to, like, once it's in their hands, the director is going to, if they have that relationship, go ahead and give them the trust to be like, okay, do your thing and do what you do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it's a stretch to say they're just as much power as the director. That's all.
Plus, the director can walk in at any point and be like, "Yeah, can you move?"
Right, that's true. I want Antoine. Where are you from? Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Seattle, Washington, but raised in Phoenix, Arizona.
Gotcha.
So yeah, out
And
here in
then-
California though.
Right. Oh, you're here in California.
Yeah.
Right. And then Garrett, you're from Indiana.
Yes.
Okay. And again, going back.
Yeah.
And I had a question. You mentioned Roger Corman. You said that's who you wanted to be like.
Yeah.
Who is that? I'm sorry, I don't know exactly who that is.
Who is Roger? Ah, that's fine. Roger Corman. I guess it's like he was one of the most prolific filmmakers ever. He made like 400 movies plus. They were usually lower budget, but what I liked about him is that he would always stress for creative solutions rather than throwing money at something. So I guarantee you've seen some of his movies. Anything that's from New World Pictures is also his. So from a production standpoint.
What era was he in?
He still actually makes movies.
Really? So
yeah.
like, can you give me like 3 Roger Corman films, and maybe I'll see if I can.
Yeah,
I've seen them.
Let me, because so many. I've seen so many. I don't know.
I think he made Medea's Christmas. I think it was Roger Corman. No, I'm just kidding.
Did he? I didn't know that.
No, I'm bullshit.
Hey,
I
Antoine.
wouldn't be surprised if he produced one of them.
Wolfgang?
35.
Huh?
Is that not Wolfgang?
It's totally Wolfgang.
Death Race.
Death Race with Jason Statham.
Yeah, that whole series is a remake of his films, Death Race 2000, and then
From like the 70s.
Yeah, or also
Okay.
one, Fast and the Furious. That entire series is a remake of one of his films called Fast and Furious. Those are probably the biggest ones today. A lot of his movies keep getting remade. That's what's cool about them. Is it's kind of like Twilight Zone, where the more you look at films today, the more you can see films from what he's done. Another one that was huge was The Intruder. Is one they teach in film school a lot because of how it deals with race. But not ringing any bells.
I know.
He sounds phenomenal, though. I'll tell you that. He sounds phenomenal.
Yeah, well, I'll say this, and it's a fair thing for filmmakers maybe don't know him as well, is because he was a businessman before he was a filmmaker. His bottom line was, if the movie doesn't make money, we're not making the movie. But that's the reason I like him, is because he was still able to find art in how cheap he was. So it's kind of inspiring to an independent filmmaker.
Gotcha.
So was he making these kind of like I guess not low budget, but it seems like the movies that you've mentioned seem that they kind of have the similar theme, that they're like action heavy, action forward, almost like you mentioned a couple films that are like car based.
Yeah, Roger Corman called them cycles. So when something made money or was really popular, he would make a whole bunch of those kind of films. So when sci-fi would get popular, like when Alien came out, he's the one who was making all the other non-alien films, you know? So not direct ripoffs, but kind of in the same vein. He's the one who did like most of the monster movies in the 60s. I would give a lot of those to him, like giant crabs, giant praying mantis, that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Did you pick The Stuff? Was that your?
Yeah.
Was that your?
Yeah.
Pick? Okay.
That one's not Roger Corman. That one's Larry Cohen, who is another kind of schlockmeister.
Schlockmeister. I like that word. That's funny.
I would have to ask if you guys had to pick a favorite film, what would it be?
Well, that's a hard one.
That's a very tough question.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the greatest of all time. Just one of your favorites. Just one of the favorites. Don't take the pressure off.
Oh, I love Small Soldiers by Joe Dante.
Small Soldiers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Antoine?
Arrival. The Arrival, probably. From
Really?
yeah.
Wait, which Arrival? The famous one now, or the one from the 70s, or the one from the 80s, or the one?
The famous one now, the one that's from a couple years ago. Yeah.
Really? I honestly would.
You thought I was gonna pick Chris Nolan, huh?
No, I did not. Maybe.
Maybe.
Nolan's made the Arrival. I wouldn't be surprised. It kind of has their feel.
Yeah. That kind of dark grittiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dope. Wait. Oh yeah. Anything else, DA? For you guys?
No, unless you guys have some questions.
Lonnie? I didn't hear Lonnie's favorite movie.
Or interview.
It was for y'all two, not us. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We can only ask 2 bearded guys their favorite movie at a time.
Damn. All right.
3 is the max. It's too much.
Too much. It's too much.
Gotcha. Well, dope, man. We're glad to have y'all, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up on us. We'll go ahead and get into these films. We like to shout out, all the filmmakers and everybody involved with the films that we're discussing. We want to congratulate y'all. Y'all got it to the big screen, so don't take any offense if anybody shits or rains on your parade. Doesn't matter what we say. We're just dumbass film students or filmmakers. You guys are the champs. You made the movie. Okay. Now, we have 3 films. We're going to discuss them in this order. Daddy's Little Girls, Moneyball, and then The Stuff. All right. So starting with Daddy's Little Girls, directed by Tyler Perry, starring Idris Elba, Gabrielle Union, host of others. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So basically what we do here, I know we kind of didn't, explain this small part. We're going to start off with a quick vote. You just basically use your thumb. Now, in the simplest form, you can go thumbs up or thumbs down. Some people like to maybe hit it here in the middle, kind of at a 6, 4, whatever. It doesn't matter. However you want to flex it. But give your vote on just your overall pick of the movie. Yes, I think this is a good movie. No, I think this is a piece of shit. And no matter what you pick, you can still think it's bad, but have something that you like about it, and then vice versa. But it's just your overall decision. All right. So Daddy's Little Girls, on the count of 3. Let's see those thumbs. 1, 2, and 3.
Oh.
Are you at a 6 line? Okay, cool. So you're in the middle, Garrett. All right, cool. Let's start with you two. You sideways thumbs guys. What's where are you guys stuck on the fence?
For me, I thought the movie was pretty good. It was just that there were certain things that kind of threw me for a loop. Like one of the biggest ones, and it might have been the version I watched. Like you never know if it's like the TV cut or the theater cut.
Right.
There was a point towards the end where it's like getting to a high point between the relationship, and then it just cuts to the court scene. And it's not really much of a court movie. They don't spend a lot of time there. But it cuts to the court scene, and then it's immediately revealed that he is a rapist or was accused of rape.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so sharp. Like, they kind of hint that he has a past, but to drop right at the last 11th hour, like, he's a rapist. It doesn't give us time to take it in or to go, we're okay with this character now.
Right.
And then
Garrett, not to like cut you off, but like just to piggyback off what you said, like my biggest problem with Tyler Perry is the like lack of depth of the characters that he creates. Yeah. Like they you've got this guy who clearly has a past, who is an interesting guy, but right, like in the court scene is when they're going to drop this bomb of like, oh yeah, well, I was accused of rape and that might have a bearing on the rest of my future. And it's like, here we go. And they're kind of like characters of characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I totally get you guys' point. And I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but I'm not agreeing. I guess I feel like although he could have expanded on it a little more, the placement of it, however, in the movie was so like spot on. Like everything's going right. He's just got the girl. He basically upgraded from this hoe of a mother to a lawyer.
Right.
That's
right. But I'll say this. Okay. My thing isn't necessarily depth of characters. I thought they had. I mean, there's varied depth between them, but my thing is more the tone. Because like, if I was going to ask you, is this a drama or a romantic comedy? What would you say?
I thought it was more towards the drama side.
Right. So every scene with him and the girl being quirky and like maybe liking each other and maybe not doesn't fit in the movie then.
Yeah. That was actually sorry to cut you off. That was actually like my biggest problem with the movie was that I felt they could have removed everything that had to do with the love interest. I think this was a super solid movie, and if they had removed all of that, it would have been even better.
Yeah, it's called Daddy's Little Girls. They're not even in it that much, really.
Right.
Like,
yeah, but see what? But one thing, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing or a bad thing, but one thing that about Tyler Perry is, I feel like no matter what movie he makes, like because he always makes movies for women and even for Black women in particular, I feel like I feel like his style of writing couldn't have just left it alone at just the daddy and the girls. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, yo, we got to get because the woman's perspective was actually a good perspective, but like you said, it just didn't necessarily have to be in this movie. Like, you're dealing with these friends, you know, whatever, going, you know, the blind, because even like the blind date stuff was funny. You know, Craig Robinson, that's his name, right?
Right.
The black comic, whatever. He was hilarious. Like, I laughed at that scene, you know, every time. Like, right, you know what I'm saying? So, but you know what I'm saying? So, like, but I do agree that it didn't have to be here, even though it was its own good element, you know, separate. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not saying that those parts of the film are bad. I'm not even, because that's what I mean. It's just that for me, the tones are so different. Like, if it's going to be funny, maybe don't make the main character an ex-rapist. I know he's towards the end.
Right.
But it's just like, it's such a dark tone to throw in there.
Right.
Whereas the setup could have been really funny if they actually, I would say kind of what Lonnie was saying earlier about the depth. I actually believe that having caricatures is okay in a film if that is the world you set up.
Yes.
A lot of movies I like the one I chose is full of caricature characters, but that's the world. So it's like, if you wanted to lean more into that, I think the comedy would work. But you need to go full in or not at all, you know?
I honestly think this is one of Tyler Perry's. I did not know he directed this one. I think this is one of his better films out of all the films that
he wrote, directed, and produced.
I would also agree with that.
Yeah.
And
what you say, Lonnie?
I said I would agree. This is my favorite Tyler Perry film. I think this is the one he did the best with.
Well, I mean, I think Diary of a Mad Black Woman. Woman? Is it woman? Yeah.
Woman.
That one was better than Daddy's Little Girl, only because he didn't direct that one. So it was a whole new perspective on it.
But my favorite one from him was the first Why Did I Get Married? I thought that was the best one in my opinion.
That was also good.
Especially with having Rock, like right? a star. Who? Chris Rock.
That's Chris Rock, right?
It's Tyler Perry. Why Did I Get Married?
No, but Chris Rock is in the movie, isn't he?
No.
Hell no.
Why Did I Get Married?
Yes.
Well, no,
what am I thinking of?
It's the other black guy, Lonnie.
Why Did I Get Married has like Janet Jackson, Jill Scott.
What's the one that I'm thinking of then? I Hate My Wife, or what's the name of that movie?
Oh, I think I Love My Wife.
That's
it.
That one's funny.
That's not. I don't think that's Tyler Perry.
That's a good movie.
But going back to this movie though, I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I think that even with other stuff that Tyler Perry, you know, has created, whether it's on TV or whatever, one thing I've always like noticed about him, like, he may not necessarily have the best, just say set dressing, actors, whatever like that, but like he definitely always finds a way to like tell a good story. Like, this is pretty interesting. Like, like,
sure.
Like a dad, he's going after his girls, and this is even a perspective, especially, for black men, it's already a stigma about the whole, like, not taking care of their kids. So like, of course, this is an important film to put out there, and he has girls on top of that. You know what I'm saying? So, but to go back to your point, Garrett, about the whole rape thing, I do think it was dramatic. I wasn't there when they wrote it, but I feel like they kind of felt like something it had to be dramatic enough for her to try to like leave him. You know what I'm saying? Because for me, I've seen this movie before, but it caught my attention this time when they were just so in love in the kitchen or whatever it was, and then boom, very next scene, it was just like, did they tell you that he was accused of rape? You know what I'm saying? And then she didn't even want to hear the explanation. She was just like, did you or did you not get accused of, a rape? She didn't even say, did you rape? You know what I'm saying? So like, I felt like that whole little section, they needed something to, I guess be the all is lost or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And try to create that moment, but it was a little heavy though. It was a little heavy-handed.
I have a thought though about that, because like my main thing is the last like 15 minutes, to me, and I think this is why the rape thing felt like such a shock, is that it almost felt rushed. Like maybe like they knew that they wanted to make the movie a certain length. So were like, we got to get these plot points in though. So they shortened everything. But had they just, and again, I don't know why because if it's for TV, then there's restrictions that they have to abide by or whatever. Right. But like, I would have been fine with a longer movie if we could have seen more of it.
Right.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, Garrett. I feel like my problem with the rape is the fact that how it was shown, because I get like I said, when they told us that he raped, the information was was revealed, I think that's a great point. But when they actually show us the rape or the what happened, I felt like that moment was not, that wasn't an excellent choice.
Yeah.
It could have been placed somewhere else. Because it just felt like I'm dealing with the fact that I raped somebody, so I'm gonna go beat up this guy instead of this guy beat my children, and now I'm angry. I get what they were trying to do. They were adding to the pressure of I'm losing everything now, and so now I'm gonna go take this guy out who just beat my kid. But like I said, I just feel like that's not the place to reveal that, because it kind of takes away from that moment of this kid was just being beaten, which is I feel like what was the biggest problem of that moment.
Yeah. I'll also say the rape scene confused me because the dad who burst in kept calling him football player and superstar.
Yeah.
Wait, is there a subplot where he's also the football star who?
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
If you actually look at the trophies on his dresser, there were like a ton of trophies.
Yeah.
And
But they never go into that, so why not just?
I think, but that's what I was gonna say. I think it was more or less about showing how important he was to that neighborhood, because you seen that everybody in the neighborhood knew him. So I think it was more of a connection to, like, he grew up in this neighborhood, he was a big shot or whatever, and then got falsely accused or whatever,
Right.
and stuck around the neighborhood, and everybody just still knows him. I think they were trying to lean more to that than the fact of let's show his whole whatever background.
Yeah, but no one in the rest of the movie ever calls him superstar or
Right.
brings up his
Which
back.
that was another forced moment. Like, I think they didn't reveal it yesterday. It was like, don't call him by his name. Just say, yeah, I'm gonna take you down, hot shot, super, so that the audience could subconsciously get it. Oh, okay, this is what happened. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's like Lonnie said. I mean, it's not so much like Lonnie said about the characters, but in the sense of, like, there are some things that we've talked about, even about Tyler Perry's work in the past, which I don't dislike him as a filmmaker or whatever, but he can definitely make some lazy decisions. I'll just say that. You know what I'm saying? In his filmmaking. Because even with that whole love scene to rape scene in the court, that even almost felt like it could have been like they shot something in between there, but they just left it out. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were just like, because like you were saying, like, maybe we want it to be a certain length. Like, man, this shit too long if we add all, whatever. So, I don't know what the decision making was there, but like I said, I do most of the just say, what do you call it? Like, not hate, but like criticism. That's what I'm moving. Most of the criticism that Tyler Perry gets is fair in reference to, like I said, the set dress and different things, whatever like that. But one thing I will give him credit for is, he chooses a good story, to tell, and it's at least, an interesting perspective to take, even if at times, he do something, you'd be like, what the fuck? What was that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, yeah.
I would also say that Idris Elba is probably the best actor that Tyler Perry has had in any of his films. Like, he really, like, you can kind of tell in this movie that he didn't have a ton to work with, but what he did, he really, like, portrayed that character very well, And
you know what's so crazy? Idris Elba had never starred like in a lead role until this movie.
Right. And now look at him. Now, sure.
And that's another. I know somebody's getting ready to talk. I'm sorry to cut you off, but just piggybacking off Lonnie real quick. That's another thing I would give Tyler Perry credit for. He gets, like, people to work with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he gets people in his movie that you'll just be like, dang, like, I wouldn't even guess, like, he or she would have chose, whatever. Like, but like he is definitely infamous for getting important, and legendary, even, especially like black actors or whatever, to Cicely Tyson's, to whoever, to Felicia Rashad, even, Louis Gossett Jr., right, was in this, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, I mean, people definitely, I guess, respect him enough to, like you said, even deal with what they have, but because, it's an important story, I guess, what I'm trying to say. But somebody was
I think the biggest thing about Tyler Perry that I can truly respect, especially when it comes to this, like, film, he knows his audience. He knows how to get them. Because I was sitting down watching it with my grandmother and my sister, and they were just like, into it. I'm like, guys, shh, I'm watching.
Right. Right.
No, I mean there are moments in the film that I got really into it too. Like it's a pretty okay film.
Yeah.
Like I have
And
to say, like
I haven't
normally,
seen enough of his movies to like talk about his whole career or anything, but I respect the hell out of him. Like owning a private studio like he does.
Yeah.
yeah, and I have to say, like normally, I'm not super into Tyler Perry movies because they feel very fairy tale-y. Like it's kind of like what Lonnie was saying earlier about the characters not like having a lot of depth, where that's what a fairy tale is. It's full of characters that are characters, and that's what a lot of his films are like. But this one felt a little bit more real, and so I think that's what Daryl was speaking to.
Right. No, no
I
doubt.
guess just the last thing I wanted to say about Tyler Perry is it's like I feel like his movies are very cliche. Like he does tell good stories, but they're not anything that's like groundbreaking. I'm not really like learning anything. Yeah. You know, one thing on this movie on this podcast that we talk about is like films that we really love, which I'm going to talk about in the next film that we talk about, Moneyball, is films that like kind of pull the curtain back and give you access to another world. And I feel like Tyler Perry is kind of doing that here. Like we're kind of seeing, but it just doesn't feel grounded in like, it's not like humanized for me. It's like almost like a great, it's like a fairy tale.
I would also say this though. I would say that he could be pulling the curtain back, but you just are not interested what's behind the curtain. Because even like,
I'm interested.
remember,
that's not
no. What I'm saying is this, because even like when we watched Lighthouse, we watched Lighthouse for this podcast, right? Phenomenal movie. They pulled the curtain back on the whole Lighthouse situation. I didn't give a fuck about that movie the entire time I was watching. Didn't give a fuck about nothing about it.
That's a weird comparison.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is like,
it's what I'm saying is life is like in a lighthouse. It's showing you a deranged man. That one's. From what it was explained to me after we watched it, this, you know, whatever they were drinking gives you these hallucinations, whatever. Either way, we watched other movies that I will give credit for in the sense that even with an anime movie, whatever, I'm like, I get why people who like this like it. Like I see what's likable about it. I just don't give a fuck about it. So what I'm saying is not that you're like, I don't give a fuck about this daddy with his girls, but I'm saying like in his whole catalog, like the cliche stuff that he's doing, because I'm telling you, like Daryl said, he's just catering to his audience. Like if he would have made Star Wars, he would have just made a bunch of Star Wars after that. You know what I'm saying?
If Tyler Perry made Star Wars, Medea would be Chewbacca.
No. The point.
It would be a domestic drama.
No, right. But the point that I'm making is that he's going to stick with whatever.
Chewbacca.
He's going to start with whatever audience that gravitated to him. And like Daryl was saying, while he's sitting here watching it with his own two eyes, his wife and grandmother, whoever, they're in a whole different world because they're the ones who, you know what I'm saying, he's kind of catering to. So I feel like what you're saying is fair, Lonnie, but I think that he is pulling the curtain back. But the people who are, I guess, seeing what's behind the curtain, number one, and saying, yo, I fuck with that. And then there's some people who just like, next curtain.
But the other thing is, Rudy, is like, you know, when you pull the curtain back and then you don't have the depth of character and the humanization really, like Idris Elba was so much more of that than anybody else in this film. Like if you're going to pull the curtain back, if that's the kind of thing you're trying to do and show people this thing is like, you know,
who was the caricature in the film?
Everybody.
The baby mama, the boyfriend, even Gabrielle Union to a certain degree.
But I think that's just more of an acting performance more than it is who they were.
Wait, I can explain the caricature really easily. The mom of the drug dealer chick had one scene, right? She like leans on the table. There's pills all over the table. She's holding a cigarette. There's a thing of cigarettes next to her. And her like only line in the whole film is some like long-winded monologue where she says, "You got to take my kids away from that man who happens to be the biggest drug dealer in Atlanta." Why tell us that there for one? And then she goes, "It ain't gonna be okay." Weird pan cut crossfade to her death, to her funeral. Right. Caricature is all hell. There wasn't even a veil there or a veil. It was just.
But that's what I'm saying. More when I think of more Tyler Perry caricatures, I think about when he actually has like Medea and the other older characters in the film, and they're just being the stereotypical like old people. I think when it comes down to things like that, I just think that's just a bad decision. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I agree with you in that moment. Like, why tell us that there? Like, let it kind of be revealed or whatever. You know, because they said even throughout the movie, he sits up there and looks down at us. He got everybody scared. Like they said a lot throughout the movie. So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I don't think it's playing into it being necessarily a caricature. I just think it may just be bad decision in either the writing or directing.
Okay. I do have a question. What is okay, so I've only seen a couple Medea films because I worked at a movie theater when like the Medea Halloweens came out. What is Medea supposed to be a caricature of? Is that like a family member that's really
basically most black families have like I guess a grandmother who
Big
is
mama.
Right, who basically everybody is afraid of. Now he definitely takes it over the top by like carrying the gun in the purse and whatever like that. But she's basically the person who's like everybody respects and is afraid of, but at the same time she helps everybody. Like in all the movies, somebody coming to stay at Medea house and live here. But that person exists though. That type of person actually does exist, and so he just took that and just
amplified it.
You know,
well, that I can respect. That's where it's like I don't think caricature is always a dirty word.
Right.
Like
No,
it's
not
like
at all.
when people hear exploitation and they think, "Oh my God, that means our movie's bad," or we're showing.
Right.
But like blaxploitation is also a genre,
Right.
and it's a really good genre if you can get into the world of it. I think Tyler Perry borders on exploitation only because he does use caricatures, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
It's just some of the worlds he creates are popular.
I mean, you know, Coming to America, that movie is filled with characters. That's
Right,
not,
for sure.
you know,
For sure.
and that movie is fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be anything. You know, it can be whatever you want it to be. But Garrett, you made a great point where, like, you know, this is the world that we're creating. Like, we're making, this is the tone of this film. It's like, this is the through line of the tone. And to have, you know, like if you're gonna pull back the curtain, I need more. Me personally, as a film viewer, I need a little bit more substance.
Right.
Still a good movie though. Still enjoyable.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, I think it may have just kind of got washed out by, you know, like they said, even with like the love story or whatever. Because I mean, it wasn't like too much going on, but there were like, you know, a couple different, you know, I guess situations going on, you know, that all kind of tied into one. And so, you know, I don't know. But either way, I think that, like I said, I do think that he does a good job when he does use the caricatures or whatever. I just don't think that the ones that appeared as caricatures in this movie, I don't think they were supposed to be. I just think, especially with the Tasha, I can't think her real name, who played the mom of the three girls. I've seen her in other movies of his where she actually plays a character she fits. And it's a totally different story. Like she shouldn't have been their mama in this movie. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I think like she kind of caricaturized it in a bad way in this particular film.
Yeah, she was like a Cruella de Vil type person.
Right. Yeah, so evil and right. No redeeming qualities. You didn't empathize or understand her point of view. Like any of it coming from her side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when she was like, "Oh, do you want a drink?"
It would have worked.
I'm sorry.
All right, Daryl, what'd you say?
I said to Jelani's point, I was like, especially when she offered her own daughter a drink, I'm like, and she basically was telling her that she had to be a drug dealer just because she was old enough to make some money. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I think you're going over the top. What kind of mother would do this? I don't. You know.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and speaking on that specific scene, I think that scene could have been way more powerful had it been edited differently, because in that scene, the audience is supposed to be in the shoes of the little girl, and we're supposed to be trapped in this room with the evil mom. But then they keep cutting away from it. They keep cutting back and then going away. If they had just stayed there, then you would have felt how that little girl felt. You would have felt trapped just like that. So
right. No, that's real. That's real. Gotcha.
Also, just one thing though, it doesn't really bother me because it's a movie. You can suspend disbelief. The court doesn't work the way the court works in this film.
Oh.
Right?
And listen to me.
At least because there's no witnesses.
If you watch majority of his movies, they all have court scenes and none of them work how it really works. None of them.
And I'm like,
None.
a witness isn't even a good thing in court because anecdotal evidence is easily disproven.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. And first of all, the whole neighborhood just there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on. The whole neighborhood.
And they get
Everyone
the,
had the
and
day
they get
off.
the same judge.
Right.
yeah, the same judge.
Right.
Like,
Or like how they're like, there were, because the whole plot of he's going to lose the kids to the mom is ridiculous because like when she showed up at the funeral yelling at him and like everybody in the family was there telling her to leave and that she's bad and that she knows the kid should go with him. If they said that in court, they would win instantly.
Right.
Like
Right.
if the aunt shows up and says, no, my sister's evil. Like,
Or like the scene in the courtroom where they're like, oh no, he's a convicted rapist. And then they reveal later on on like a TV throwaway line that he was falsely accused. It's like, well, then just tell her, no, I was falsely accused.
Right. She just happened to see it on TV while she's like drinking coffee.
And like, who wouldn't tell their lawyer?
Right.
So why would you not tell your lawyer everything? Like, were you going to surprise your lawyer in the courtroom? Like, oops, sorry, I'm paying you all this money to be surprised by information I don't give you.
There's that one scene where he was about to tell her and then a phone rang and then it was like, okay.
Right.
Oh, I hate that shit. I hate that trope in movies.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm about to like change the course of a thing, but we need a conflict later on. So
But that happens, and that happens a lot in movies though. Like
a lot.
That happens a lot in movies. Like it's like it gets like you'll look at the screen. It's only like 20 minutes in, and they like. We know this is not getting ready to be it. So what's going to distract them to make this, it's already a thing. So no, that's
how many conflicts in movies could be solved if they just talked for more than like 30 seconds?
Right. If they had healthy communication skills.
Right.
you got to don't cut. We need to finish this scene.
Right. So anything else for Daddy's Little Girls? Anybody got anything else for Daddy's Little Girls before we move on?
After talking about it, I'll move mine up to here.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Moved a little bit. All right. So moving right along, let's go to Moneyball, directed by Bennett Miller, starring Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, and the host of others. This is actually my first time seeing this film. I had always known about it. I just never actually watched it. So on the count of three, let's give our votes. 1, 2, and 3. So we got to decide. You don't give it the perfect 10, Lonnie?
Maybe I'll adjust after we talk about it. I want to hear some I want to hear what people's like gripes with it are, and I want to see what everyone has to say.
Well, I'm gonna let Antoine go first since he had to side with them. But I just want to say this real quick before you go. Like I did say, this was my first time seeing it, and like Lonnie and Da know, I don't read like the log lines or whatever before I just watch it. So even just the story being revealed to me, and even remembering, this happening in real life, whatever. I was kind of, I thought that was kind of dope that they actually like kind of told that story or whatever. But for me, just in the overall, I really thought this was a pretty entertaining movie to watch. You know what I'm saying? Just in a lot of aspects. The way that Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill were, like both of them were in characters I had not necessarily seen them in before, and I thought they executed both very well. But go ahead, Antoine.
So first of all, just like you, I'd never seen the movie before, and I like to go into movies blind, so I don't read any like synopsis or reviews or anything like that. So my major gripe with this movie is, I'll fully admit, I'm judging it slightly unfairly. I think for the first viewing of this movie, 2020 is probably a bad time to watch it, because when you really look at the movie, this movie is about a bunch of rich people just not as rich as they would like to be or as successful as they would like to be. And that's what this movie is about. And I'm just like, I can't really empathize.
The upper class and the upper class.
Yeah. The whole movie, he's mad. And I'm just like, you're making like $7 million. What the fuck are you bitching about? So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's like my whole feeling about the movie.
So what about anything else about it outside of the whole I guess, classism issue.
I mean, I thought it was fine. I thought I think that they left some stuff out. After I saw the movie, I kind of looked into it a little bit, and they left some stuff out that I think
they do leave some very important facts out of this
I
film.
think would paint it a little bit differently. So
It definitely would.
Yeah.
Like, what's the fact they left out?
Well, the most important fact is that after this movie, he goes and sells this idea to every other baseball team in the country, and then the Boston Red Sox take it. Like, you know, there's that scene where he's like, "I'm not going to take this job." Well, they left out that part of that meeting where he's like, "But I'll sell you the program that I used to make it." So
Right.
Billy Beane is a pretty famous piece of shit general manager. It's a real guy, right? This is a
Right,
real person.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And he went and sold this idea to every other baseball team. And then the Boston Red Sox took it and won the World Series, I think the next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
At the end of the film, it said 2 years later, I think.
Yeah. They
Right,
mentioned
but
that
they
won or
leave
whatever.
out
But,
that he, like,
they
sold
didn't say he sold it. They just said using his
Right. Yeah,
But
whatever.
they also left out at the end there that he then went back to the A's and leveraged his new position of power to get to a co-manager position and made $8 million that year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like-
Billy Beane is a gigantic asshole. Like,
Yeah.
everyone
So it's
knows
like-
that in baseball.
It's like, oh, happy
Oh.
ending after all.
Actually, speaking of the ending, I was kind of disappointed in the ending. You know, I get it that it's a true story, and the fact that that they didn't win, that was the real bummer for me. It was just like because I honestly won't lie. If you guys ever seen Other Guys, you how Ice-T is kind of narrating over the whole thing. And when that happened and everything started fading, in this particular movie, everything started fading and it sounded like what could have been Ice-T. I don't know, some black guy, I guess, if anything.
Right.
But the narration started, and I'm like, it was so not there in the beginning. I was like, oh, okay, this is like a joke or something. All right, I'm waiting for this to end. It doesn't end. This really happened. That's a bummer. It kind of I don't know.
I mean, but that's just like Friday Night Lights. Like, it sucked that they lost at the end, but it happened.
No.
What
I'm
do you
saying
want?
the switch in style, but also the fact that they lost kind of just it took me out at the end.
Like Rudy.
It really just took me out.
I
I mean, DA, are any of you guys baseball fans? Like, does anybody in here give any shits about baseball?
I like the White Sox. I mean, I like the Yankees. Sorry.
Okay, so like, I don't know if you guys understand, but like, baseball has the largest margin of like, the bad teams are the worst and the good teams are the best. Like, they have the widest margin of talent of any professional league. So the good teams, because there's no salary cap in baseball, so the teams that have the most money, they spend the most money. So that's why you always have the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, the Cubs. Like, you always have the wealthy teams at the top. So to have a team like the Oakland A's, who are very famously like poor and mismanaged and like kind of a forgotten team, they were the last baseball team to ever, like, they shared a football stadium forever. Like, they were just really behind the times. So for them to be able to like take these things, take this computer software and this, these statistics and analytics and get to that point is almost, I mean, they were not going to win. Like, I guess that part of it. Like, I went into this movie knowing, I'm like, no, they don't win the World Series. Like, I know they're not winning the World Series here. That's not the point of the film. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the point of this film is not so that they're going to be crowned champions.
But that's a good. But what was the actual point of the film? Because like for me, I thought it was low key about like his whole like superstition with not going to the game. But then I don't even think that was like the biggest thing. That just was kind of just
Brad Pitt being angry and just a great actor. I think that's the whole point.
The point of the film is actually Jonah Hill.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill is actually the point of this movie, where he is the like, you've always had these guys who love the game of baseball and analyze it to a certain degree. Like, math plays a bigger role in baseball than any other sport. And now you have finally, after all these years, baseball is over 130 years old. So after 110 years of this sport being in existence, now you have technology, analytics, and athletics all coming together in 2002 in fucking Oakland with this team that's like, you know, they're taking guys that don't even play this position and they're moving them here. And they do it in such an interesting way. Like, there's no parts of this movie that weren't interesting to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lonnie, correct me if I'm wrong, though. Jonah Hill kind of came up with this whole system, not Billy Bean.
Exactly.
Well, Jonah Hill was he was a quant guy, right? He was like a numbers and statistics kind of like genius.
Right.
Well, and isn't Jonah Hill's character fictional? Is
I
that
don't
a real
believe so.
person?
No, he's
A real
think-
person?
I
he's a
think he is.
Hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he comes to Billy Bean like, you know, there's a disconnect, right? Like, Billy Bean is the GM. He deals in people. So they have different minds, and you're seeing them come together and work together in a way that really changes the game of baseball. Like, all of baseball is based off of this.
But
Now it's like basically it's like inventing the forward pass in football. It's like the game is never the same now.
They couldn't have done that without both of them. He knew the
Exactly,
baseball,
right.
but he knew the numbers.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right.
What I do like about this movie really is the character, like seeing the character growth in Brad Pitt's character. Man, that was phenomenal. I felt like the whole fact that he was like disconnected.
God damn it, Shania.
That was on cue right there. It's feeling disconnected, and then you just move on.
Feeling disconnected, right?
The whole fact that he was like disconnected from everyone at the beginning, and then you know, he started losing, and we seeing his aggression grow and grow, and then the fact that he's like, okay, I have, like, he made the active decision to actually communicate with the team and start helping them so they can start winning, and then they went on this 20-win streak. I thought that was like phenomenal, and then the tension of the game 20, man, that was great, because he came there, he was like, I fucked it all up. I knew I was gonna jinx it. I should never listen to my fucking daughter.
Right. I honestly enjoyed the growth of Jonah Hill's character more, to be honest with you. Because, like, even with him having to, you know, go through knowing how to fire people and stuff like that, like, to me, like, you know, Brad Pitt was, you know, like, I mean, he had to change, but, like, he didn't necessarily go from, like, you know, homeless to rich type of a change. It was just like, okay, hang around the players some more, whatever, you know, whatever. But, like, Jonah Hill was literally like, don't speak up, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think, you know, that dude made that decision because of me. He you know, like, just all of that type of stuff. And then when it is finally his time to do the firing or whatever, like, or even the trade, he wasn't even a fire, like, he had to trade somebody or whatever it was. And, like, you know, like, that whole scene, I thought it was real good. Even how the guy acted, the player acted, you know, because of it or whatever. Like,
Man,
that whole dynamic, and even. And I almost felt like Jonah Hill's character was happy that the dude was just like anything else. Because like he didn't want the how Brad Pitt was doing. Like, man, I just bought a house here. You know what I'm saying? My kids started school here. Yeah. Like, I don't know if he would have been able to handle it further, you know, past that or whatever. So like, I felt like he almost showed like a relief when he walked out. Like, yo, I'm glad that's over with. You know what I'm saying?
I felt
that was good.
I felt like that relief was more towards because when I was watching that scene, I was like, this dude is about to punch Jonah Hill because
the reason why I think that was one of the best scenes in the film, and the reason why I didn't think he was gonna punch him was because the camera comes in and sits down before them and then doesn't move. It's just chill the whole time until he gets up and takes that breath and walks out, and that's the cut.
I mean, the film is shot beautifully. Like, some of the angles, like specifically the angle of Chris Pratt hitting the home run. Like, you know, there's just like some scenes, like some lines from this movie that really like even just give me chills, that it's hard not to be romantic about baseball. You know, like that line, like it's true. Yeah. Like the way that they talk about it and the way that they love it. And that the scene where he throws the chair out into the hallway, you know, you're just seeing the hallway shot.
Right.
And Joan, I love this movie. I love Pat Philip Seymour Hoffman as the fat, grumpy manager. It's a great movie. I also love the scene where he's like, I cannot forget the guy's name, but he had just gotten traded from the Yankees and he's in batting practice and he's like, man, I don't have anything to say to you. And he's like, the Yankees are paying you to not be on their team. That's how much they don't want you.
Right.
So it also it gives you a little, like what we were talking about in the movie before. It's like, this is what it's like to be, we don't get free soda. We don't get the, and it's that's the kind of things that go on in a clubhouse. And it's like, just give them their fucking soda. You might win a couple more games, For us, it's simple.
I love that he got the other team to pay for it for 3 years. Right. The other guy, the dude on the other one was like, what do you mean? Why is that the sweetener on the contract?
right.
I love that.
See, again, that's the problem that I had with the movie, where it's like, oh, just get them the soda. It's like, I get them the soda, but at the same time, dude, you're making $7 million. You can spend $1.50 on some soda. That's where I'm coming from,
But I think that they did that on purpose, Anton. I think that's intentional. I think that it's like, these are millionaires that are walking around their millionaires interacting with millionaires, and they still have human wants and desires that might be out of their scope of perspective. You know what I mean? Of course, for us, it's just like, dude, go buy a soda. But for them, it's like, you guys are paying everyone here millions of dollars, and I have to pay for soda. I don't know. I found that very humanizing and relatable.
You also remember the flashbacks to Billy Bean?
Yes.
The shit they say to young 20-year-old or even younger sometimes kids, when they're like, you've got everything. You've got all five
tools.
Right.
You're brilliant. You're going to change the game.
Yeah.
The shit they pump these kids in their ego, it's insane to think that they couldn't act that way when they get to the whatever they call it, where the team meets, locker room.
And then also just Brad Pitt giving advice to Jonah Hill about that scene of the trade. He's like, if you were going to get shot, would you want to get shot 6 times in the stomach or once in the head? The way it was written.
But even his response, even his response, are those my only 2 choices?
Right.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was hilarious. You said who wrote it? I looked.
It feels like it was Aaron Sorkin. I don't think it was, but it feels like
he was a consultant. He wasn't.
Okay, he was a consultant. So you can see his influence on this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Steven Zalian.
Okay.
He didn't get second listing, so I'm sure he helped or maybe did another pass of the script.
Sure, he was probably also on set, helping with They don't have the classic Aaron Sorkin walk and talk a lot of shots, but I love this movie. I think it's excellent. Even if you don't like baseball, which I wasn't a huge baseball fan when this movie came out, but when this movie came out, I became a baseball fan within the next year or so because of this film.
I think anyone could like it though, because it's a character film.
Absolutely.
About the relationship between Jonah Hill and Brad Pitt.
Right,
yes.
right.
No one's talked about it yet, but I love the scene where Brad Pitt's feeling really down on himself, and Jonah Hill shows him the clip of the guy who
hit a home run.
He hit a home
run.
and didn't know it. Right. Yeah, that was powerful.
Yeah,
and that's a real clip too. That one got me because I was like, look at that guy. Look at how when he sees that he got the home run, exchanges.
Yeah.
That's why, it's even though I don't watch baseball, that made me feel romantic about baseball. I was like, holy shit, look at that.
For sure.
So I was gonna ask, what did you guys think of the daughter's lyrics? Dad, you're a loser.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, especially at the end.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was pretty funny. I was
like, what the hell? Why is this daughter saying?
Because it was like, you're a loser, get over it or something, right? It was something like just play ball or something. I forgot whatever it was, but it was basically like, you're a loser.
Yeah. No, she said, you're a loser, enjoy the show.
Enjoy the show, right.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's what they call baseball. Baseball is called the show.
Right.
And the whole theme of his character is that he's kind of a loser. He wasn't a good ball player. He wasn't the best manager. His whole thing in the film is like he didn't come up with the way to save the team. All he did was he was in a position where he could listen to the guy who did know how to save the team.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And even
Right.
that
I think
didn't really fully work.
That's the mission, I think, for his character is, you are not going to be able to play and win. You're not going to be able to make this team get to the championship and win. So just enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Right.
I
But
don't know.
see,
This
but see,
lyrics
but
is
see,
so weird.
but see, the lyrics kind of hit me too because he wanted to win. It's not like he just kind of like didn't want to, and it felt like, why would she say that in her song like that? You're a loser.
Well, I think it's because her character is missing her father because he's been
Right.
consumed with I want that final win,
Right. I mean,
and she knows that she can get him to listen if she sings it.
And the whole movie, she wants him to go to the games and actually enjoy the part of baseball that's supposed to be enjoyable, and he doesn't.
Right.
Until the end, and the loser dad. I think those lyrics are just to humble him, and that's why he smiles when he hears it. He's not like,
Right.
what?
Right.
Like that'd be a funny ending, but like kind of off base.
It definitely made me laugh. It tickled the hell out of me. I don't think it was supposed to, but I thought it was funny. Like, that was a classic ending to me. But but I agree with you, Lonnie. I enjoyed the movie a lot. Like I said, it was my first time ever seeing it. But I liked it. I did like it. Like I said, pulling the curtain back. I like movies like that. Even with and to my final point, even to your point, Lonnie, in reference or somebody's point, in reference to like not even having to like baseball and still enjoy this movie. Even outside of just the characters, I mean, I'm the sports guy in the sense like football and basketball more than baseball. But even when he, as the general manager, like traded Pena or whatever to make sure that he didn't start him in the rotation. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, like that, I was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't never heard of no general manager doing no shit like that.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like I like this was because it reminded like the balls he had reminded me a lot of the movie Draft Day. I don't know if y'all ever seen it.
I love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So Draft Day is dope. Obviously it's fictional, but he had that same type of like he's doing something off the wall. Nobody knows what he's doing. Him and the coach back and forth, whatever like that. So I thought, even though this is a true story, I thought all that was dope. And
I think it's actually pretty common for general managers and coaches to not get along.
Right, I'm sure.
Like I think that's pretty par the course. Like I don't
Even if
think
you watch The Last Dance, that's what I'm
really thinking about. It's like I don't think they really get along.
Right.
It seems like it's like, at least in baseball, it's almost designed that way though, because to have the manager pick the team but not be able to pick how they play, and have the coach pick how they play but not get to pick the players is kind of a method.
Right.
I'm sure it's there for a reason.
Well, and also the general manager is in charge of firing and hiring the coach as well. So, that's who's really running the show. The general manager is the liaison between the players and the front office. So it's, it's a very interesting, I was actually just having this conversation the other day that like baseball is so prestigious. It's been around for so long that like when you're a general manager in baseball, you've got the prestige of hundreds of years of history behind you. I don't know if you guys know this, but the owner of the Chicago Bulls also owns the Chicago White Sox. And he said that he would trade all the Bulls championships for a White Sox championship. So that just goes to show you how the, Antoine's talking about the super rich. Like baseball is the only business in the entire history of the United States that is allowed to cross state lines and not pay intra-business tax because they are so powerful that they got the United States Supreme Court to rule that they're exempt from any kind of like tax of different states. Wow. So baseball is a fucking American institution, and I love baseball, man. I became a baseball fan later in life, and there's a lot of things I love about it.
I don't fuck with baseball at all. It's way too. I can go to a live game just for like the fest, like you go to like 1 or 2, MLB games a year, eat a hot dog or some shit, be on the cam, whatever. But like just sitting there watching, can't do it.
That's kind of me with sports, though. I'm happy to watch the highlight reels or watch movies stories that happen behind the scenes. But like, I went to a baseball game in Indiana once. The tickets were free. I left after like 4 innings. I was like,
but think about like that. You have sports movies, but specifically baseball movies are their own genre.
Yeah.
Like baseball movies are a thing. Major League is one of my favorite movies. Rookie of the Year, Little Big League, like. The Sandlot,
Angels in the Outfield.
Angels in the Outfield.
Yeah.
You know,
Best one.
The Natural, The Rookie. Like you've got movies that are, you know, Field of Dreams. Like baseball movies are a thing. You know.
What's the name was good too? What's the Bull Durham?
Yeah, Bull Durham.
Yeah, Bull Durham was
Very good.
I seen that not too long ago. That was dope.
So I have a question for
That was an
everybody.
unexpected call there, Rudy. Bull Durham.
It's because of film. I told the film school. It's exposing me to stuff so. But go ahead, Antoine.
So does anybody else feel like this movie, like you guys mentioned, the writing is really good and it's dramatic. Does anybody else feel like it was presented in kind of like a Disney style film though? Does it feel a little bit on the nose sometimes?
It does the same thing that like so many inspirational movies do, where the soundtrack is literally just like kind of higher pitched, like da 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 da, like kind of going off in the background. It's the same thing that they did in Pursuit of Happiness in like every Disney movie ever made.
Yeah, and like there's a shot like when they lose the game, right? And they're panning over the field, and you see the logo for the A's, and then the lights go down, and I'm like, oh my god, little on the nose.
Right.
Little on the nose.
Even with certain like play, they would show like a player pitching or whatever, and they would do the lights go down and just the spotlight on him type thing. Like they were showing the picture with the weird throw or whatever. So they did kind of have those elements. I forgot all about that. I guess.
Yeah, and it kind of like takes you out of it a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, I'm watching a movie, right?
Right, for sure. I get
It
that.
depends on the purpose, which like the whole point of this movie is like to inspire and get you into it and make you invest in the characters. So like having a very scripted moment in a real world situation is a little odd, and like you said, like you can see it and go, oh, that's kind of odd,
Right.
but it kind of works too. I think it works really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like Lonnie just said. Baseball movies are their own movie. You kind of have to do that stuff.
Right. No doubt. Okay. So anything else from Moneyball? Everybody all good? Cool. Last but not least, we got The Stuff. Directed by Larry Cohen. Starring Scott Bloom, Michael. This is Moriarty. I butchered his name.
Moriarty.
Sure, there we go. And then a host of others. So on the count of three, we're going to give our votes. 1, 2, and 3.
I figured as much.
Now let me tell you my biggest problem with The Stuff. I was probably more disappointed than just disliked it, because I honestly I didn't think certain stuff about the movie I thought was good in concept. Even, I mean, I love the lead character, the detective. You know what I mean? I thought, you know, even his character just was dope all in itself. But I don't think you're going to convince me to take a movie. And when I say seriously, I'm saying serious in any form or fashion, where, you know, whipped cream or whatever is like in this weird way. You know, like it's one thing if they would have eaten it and somehow it was poisonous and then people were turned into zombies or something, you know what I'm saying? In some type of whatever, but like, just, you know, it popping out of pillows and, you know, just, I mean, I'm just like, yo, is this Kung Fu Hustle 2? Like, this is like, this, like, this, no, but I'm saying, I like Kung Fu Hustle, but I'm saying, but it felt very, yeah. What's that again?
So you're saying that if a movie is ridiculous, it can't be good?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I just think they used the whipped cream in the wrong way, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
to me, this was a story about people getting addicted to crack cocaine.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I was like,
I don't think it was crack cocaine as much as it's like junk food, but I do think that there is a message in it.
Right. No,
this
for sure.
old man found some weird substance in the middle of nowhere and was like, this shit tastes good. Hey, Johnny, come try this.
Actually, what I think they were trying to say is that it's Coca-Cola. Like, because they even in the beginning of the movie, they're like, yeah, we protect our secret formula with the law that Coke does.
Yes.
Right. And let me ask you this: Was Garrett Morris, whatever the black guy, was that the guy who made Famous Amos? Was that who that was supposed to be?
That's
I believe. Oh, dude, fucking chocolate chips.
Chocolate chips,
Charlie.
Yeah,
Okay,
man's
the
name.
thing. It's weird because this actually predicted the guy who created Famous Amos's downfall
Yeah, because that's what happened to him.
What happened?
Yeah.
But that didn't happen for like another 10 years.
Oh, okay. So I thought this was him. So that's why I was like,
Are you sure about that,
That's
Garrett? I
funny.
thought that happened back then.
Not in the what was this? 85? Not in 85.
Are you
Yeah,
sure?
no,
I
it's
thought that
85.
had already
I will
happened.
Google it because I admit I could be wrong, but I saw the dude who created Famous Amos on Shark Tank last year.
on Shark Tank. Yeah, that's what I seen that too.
Story, and I thought he got kicked out like in the 2000s, but I could be wrong. So because he is kind of old, but I'll Google
Yeah,
it.
he's 84.
But I will say, did you guys recognize who played him?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Garrett Morris. What's his name? Garrett something.
No, he was also in our first film we talked about. He was Willie, the mechanic.
Right.
Oh,
That
well,
guy's in a lot of movies.
oh, right. Yeah.
That was him?
I know him from the Jamie Foxx show. Is the first thing I actually.
Right.
The show? That's cool.
So the thing about this movie is it was like it was a lot of movies in one, and it didn't really do any of them well.
Yeah.
Right. So it was obviously a rip off of The Blob. It was also trying to be The Thing. It was also trying to be like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And it was also trying to be like Ferris Bueller at times, you know, like
Ferris Bueller.
You can't forget the episode of SpongeBob when an alien came and there were aliens there, and they would basically go inside them, and then to get them
that's
out.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's a.
Well, no, that's not correct. Invasion of the Body Snatchers are pods that create a clone.
Scanners then. Scanners. What's the one with Michael Ironside where their heads explode?
That's Scanners, yeah.
Yeah, there's a movie. I don't remember. I'm not a huge fan of this genre, but I've seen these movies. Like I've seen like especially the way that the black guy at the end, his like, you know, the special effects start coming out, and I'm like, The Thing. I'm like, I've seen this before, you know. I was very. It was very hard for me to watch this film. Like to finish it, I was like, God damn.
And even the ADR and like with and like on that boat scene or whatever, like with the detective or whatever, I was like, yo, that's not what he's saying. His lips are doing something different.
Right.
Speaking
like
of,
the election was going on in like the background, and I'm like pissed that I'm watching this movie and not like following up on Georgia and shit. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing with this fucking movie?
speaking of though, thank God for that boat, right? He's like, we need a way out of here. Let's go that way.
I will say though, I think the biggest thing that goes against this movie isn't the effects or isn't the limitations of the budget, because you're right, it pulls from a lot of other movies and it was made for a fraction of their budget, and that's not an excuse for it. But I think the biggest thing that's a disservice to this is they marketed it as a science fiction horror film. It's sure it has elements of science fiction, doesn't really have the themes of science fiction, just has science fiction like a monster. But it's not a horror film, and Larry Cohen was pissed about that when it came out, because it was released by Roger Corman's company, and they did a disservice to it, because everyone went in expecting a horror film, but it's actually supposed to be just a satire and a parody. It's making all of those movies that people say it rips off. It was supposed to be like, look, this is like some.
So now we're talking. Now I'm like, if I'm looking at it through that lens, I like it much more. Like if it was self-aware. Like if this movie is self-aware, it's a much better film.
Right.
Than
It's a trauma film. It's a trauma film.
If it was marketed as its own
actually,
thing.
I'll say this to the trauma thing. It's actually, I would say, higher quality than most trauma films, though it's made for about the same budget as a trauma
What's
film.
this word? The word you're using? Trauma?
Trauma.
Though it does come from trauma.
There's a famous director, producer, whatever, Lloyd Kaufman. He's made trauma films. That's like his brand is Trauma, but they're all movies like this, like Invasion of the Killer Tomatoes and
Okay.
For a long time, he was the biggest independent film company in the U.S. I doubt he is anymore, but he used to have that title.
He was the first one to do like a cinematic universe. Like he eventually made Trauma's War, which is essentially Avengers, but for a bunch of stupid movies like this.
But yeah, this would actually fit in perfectly with his like line of movies, and it's definitely low budget, it's grungy, but it's like I think there is some beauty to it. when you can like look, especially I've seen so many of these movies. Believe me, you think this is bad. They get so.
Oh no. For these, it was watchable. I didn't turn it off 10
Like,
minutes into the
It's
thing.
a B movie, and people lump all like low budget movies into B, but it goes all the way down to Z. And
Oh, for sure. No, this is a solid C+ movie, B-.
Maybe with time it's gotten bumped down because you have better comparisons, especially nowadays. People can do a lot more with a lot less.
Right.
Like for 85, this was made on like, oh, I think you want to do a game about the money, so I won't say how much they made it for.
I mean, yeah, it's cool. But it's definitely it definitely was like I mean the whole self-aware thing. I think it does help. I wouldn't necessarily take my thumbs down away per se, even with it being that. But it does make more sense because I even felt I think that was funny what you said about the crack cocaine, but I was thinking more or less along the junk food as well. Like I felt like it was supposed to be some type of messaging. But even for me, that's what kind of made it like disappointing. Like I felt like it was way too goofy. You know what I'm saying? Like when I say goofy, I don't mean like ha ha. I'm saying like stupid goofy. Like it was like once the whipped cream was attacking people's face and so, you know what I'm saying? Like to me, especially not knowing that this is supposed to be this whatever, because it even without me even looking at to see if it was horror or not, it did low key come across as like, oh, they're trying to make this like a horror film. You know what I'm saying? Like we're really supposed to be afraid of this stuff. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. So.
When you meet the general, you should know that it's like a big joke.
Yeah.
Right.
So ridiculous. Yeah. Or like even the first scene, like it's just a bubbling puddle in the middle.
Right.
So, but here's the thing, though. The thing, like, sorry, with kind of like what Rudy's saying, with like being kind of confused. The general character, I think, is one of the biggest confusions because at first when you meet him, you're like, oh, this is a comedy. But then about 2 minutes later, he uses a racial slur, and you're like, oh, wait a second, I thought this was a comedy.
It was 85. You got to look at it through the lens of the time, not through the lens.
I mean, 85 is not the 50s.
Well, I think in some places it definitely was still the 50s.
That's true.
That's true. Nick Nolte is still alive, right? He's not in this movie, but he was in a movie in '79 where it's like a buddy cop movie, and the whole movie he just keeps calling the buddy cop dude who's a black guy the N-word.
Are you talking about 48 Hours?
Maybe. I think he actually does say it in that one too, but I'm talking about.
Oh, I mean, he says the N-word all throughout 48 Hours, and 48 Hours is the first buddy cop movie.
Yeah. He did other ones though. But yeah, that's what I'm saying is like people get the timeline so off with like racial stuff.
Right.
If we're really not as far along as they make you think. 85 was not great.
But see, I think to Antoine's point, I think the racial slur in this comedy, if you will, is kind of almost like the rape scene in Daddy's Little Girls. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like where did that? You know what I'm saying? Like I thought this was supposed to be. So I get that. It
even threw me off when I rewatched it for this because I was like, whoa, I forgot about that. But there's nothing else in the movie really.
Right.
I felt like this movie was very like I thought it was very fun to watch only because it was over the top. Like the little boy going in the store and knocking off. First of all, when he went to the black mother, it looked like the black mother was about to whoop him. She was about to whoop. So I was like,
funny. Like, how can you give it a thumbs down? Like, it's supposed to be so.
I was like, oh my god, he about to get a whooping.
Yeah.
And then he just goes and start knocking everything off. I'm like, why is he? What the hell? Where are your parents?
Yeah, I have a note here. I actually wrote a note. It said, well, he's now responsible for sending his mother into bankruptcy because she has about a $5,000 ice cream bill from the grocery store.
I was like, I would have loved to see it go even further with that kind of stuff. Like if they kept pushing some of the jokes to the point of absolute absurdity, it would have put it in a genre of absurdist filming.
For sure.
I don't know if you can get any more absurd. I mean, people were on the walls.
What if people like taking the mom to the poorhouse or something like that? That could have been a funny way to put it.
Another reason, speaking of the army, another reason I thought this was about like drugs is the fact that they went and got the army. The fact that they went and got the army and then the army is just shooting everybody who's taking the drugs.
Mm-hmm.
They're all delinquents.
I think
So a little history lesson is if you guys actually look into Coca-Cola and what they've done in Latin America, that's exactly what they've done. Is they hire like paramilitary units to murder people. Like Coca-Cola has done some really shitty things in other countries. So that's why I was like, oh, they're definitely trying to like make a point here about
They say
food companies.
They say Coca-Cola used to have actual cocaine in it.
the name.
I mean, they don't say that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true.
I'm about to say it's not a they say.
I
It's
didn't know.
actual.
I didn't know it was still a thing.
That's what Coca in Coca-Cola comes from. They still use the leaf of a coca plant, which is what cocaine is made of, to make Coca-Cola, and then they separate the cocaine part of it, and then they sell that to pharmaceutical companies for numbing agents like Novocaine and stuff like that. That's what the cane comes from.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was still used.
Yep.
I will say, I once got in a huge argument with my gym teacher in high school because he went to the Coca-Cola Factory Museum, and they, I guess, have covered that up or just pretend that that's not where their name comes from. And he was like, no, I went to the museum. It has nothing to do with cocaine. That's a myth. And it's like, no, it's not. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Oh man.
I
Yeah.
believe you.
About the army, how ridiculous is it that there's just a random full-ass military armament in the middle of the U.S. somewhere? Like, we do have bases that
radio
look like
stations.
that. Yeah.
Don't forget
And that he's able to just go to war. Like, without any approval from higher up, he's just like, let's get them. Come on, boys.
Yeah. Now this was a I honestly do like movies like this for this podcast because of the fact that, I like this podcast for movies like this because I would have never just watched this on my own. You know what I'm saying? So like, if for whatever reason somebody randomly be like, hey, you ever seen The Stuff? This is actually one movie I would just be like, you know what? I actually have seen that shit. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how I feel about it, like, you know what? I actually have seen that. You know what I'm saying? And
I didn't come in here like, I'm not holding this up to the level of the movies you watched. I know it's something weird and wacky.
Right.
I just thought it'd be fun because I knew no one else was gonna throw something in like this.
Right.
So
No, that's what I'm saying. I appreciate it. Like it's like, cause even we've had other guests like they'll pick a movie and if we shit on it, like they feel bad. Like, oh, I gotta pick a better movie next time. It's like you don't have to pick a good movie. It can be whatever. It could be something that you just want, somebody's feedback on. Just see what they think. Like I liked it, but this is kind of weird. Let me see what other people think. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a good pick. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, even as far as exposure, because I've never even heard of it, but let alone could have heard of it and never would have watched it even then. Without you.
It also had some like pretty decent actors in it, like Paul Sorvino,
Yeah.
Danny Aiello. Like those guys
Yeah.
are pretty well known. And that I cannot place the black guy. Like I remember him on Jamie Foxx show, but I know he's been in other stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
which black
See,
guy? The chocolate chip Charlie?
Chocolate chip, yeah. Chocolate chip
That
Charlie,
almost
baby.
feels racist to say. Like that it
does.
almost feels like we shouldn't
Sounds
be able to
bad.
say that
It's
name.
like saying cornbread Earl. It's not.
Yeah, it's like so not okay.
By the way, that's another movie. I didn't just make that up. Cornbread Earl. But, yeah, that's Garrett Morris.
Garrett Morris. He's I'm looking at. He's good.
Oh,
It's a bunch of shit. Yeah, it's a long list. So you had to look at.
He's in the Coneheads, Cooley High.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, someone said Jamie Foxx show. Yeah, he's from that.
Yeah. That's was the first time I had ever seen him, like growing up watching that, and then I found out about the other stuff later.
He was also in
Say it again.
Martin.
Yeah. Like he's been in a lot of different TV shows, like just guest appearance type of stuff. But I mean, I'm even just looking at the movie list. I mean, it's long as hell. You would have to just look. Like he's worked a lot. He's been busy.
Yeah.
I
I will say this. I do think the stuff, there's not a lot of movies that try and tackle corporate espionage. The one I can think of that's probably a more elevated film is The Informant with Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
But I would
There was another movie with Jessica Roberts and Clive Owen where they were both spies for other companies.
Okay. Did they fall in love?
Yes, they did. How do you guess?
She was a corporate spy, but so was I.
So was I.
Yeah, I would actually love to see a remake of this if they tried to tackle the themes a little better. And I would have to say, do not do a CGI stuff. Keep it practical. But this is a rare bad old movie that I would love to see them try and do again. Like, they made a remake of Killer Tomatoes. It wasn't necessary or really wanted. Because, like, I don't know if you guys have seen that one, but the first scene is literally they're standing in a field and the guy's there's someone off screen just hucking tomatoes at them.
Is that the same one where the tomatoes bring down the military helicopter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's this one I would be interested in, because I think there's something about consumerism that could play well into this genre more if they just tried to take it seriously a bit.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some real themes like bubbling under the surface of this, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's because Larry Cohen, like, he was a filmmaker that would make like, in his early days, like when he was making films in the 60s, black and white, you know, they were more about like society, and he was trying to be political. And then he got kind of into this place where the movies he could get made and actually get sold and see success with were like this. And he made a whole slew of movies that were alien invasion, ripoffs of whatever the biggest one was at the time.
Right.
There's always his little, like what you said, bubblings of what he really wanted to talk about underneath. So I'd be interested to see that come out in a different version of this movie.
Right.
And then remind me, Garrett, the name of the guy, the other guy?
Roger Corman.
Roger Corman. Okay.
Yeah, he's actually on Tubi. He has a show where it's just an interview with him talking about every movie he's like ever made that was notable, and he goes into the business of it too, which is really cool. Like better than the production classes I took at NIFA.
Wow. Gotcha. Dope. Okay. Well, anything else for any of the three movies? That is Little Girl, Moneyball, or The Stuff? Any final thoughts?
It's actually pretty funny.
Say it again.
I was saying give Stuff a chance. It's actually pretty funny. I enjoyed it. Although I did feel like the ending took a little long, but that's just.
I would say give it a chance, just to be open to the other stuff. But my thumbs stand down. My thumbs stand down.
That's fine. And also, I forgot it was on a scale of 10. I don't give this movie a 10. I just
right.
5.5.
But Garrett, if it's a 10 for you, you can give it a 10. Like,
No,
I have movies that are my 10s, but other people would fucking hate. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Hot Shots Part 2, but that
my God.
People hate that movie.
I fucking love that movie.
180 times, and it's one of my favorite movies. I give that a perfect 10.
Yeah, that movie's fantastic.
Yeah,
no,
that movie's great.
Okay, so if I was going to give a movie a 10 that most people don't, it would probably be Office Space. I think that's
okay.
100%, but most people just like an average comedy. This one, again, I was just trying to throw a wrench into the machine to see what you guys thought. I do.
Well, it's definitely very controversial, which is perfect for this. Perfect for this
podcast. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's actually good that you chose it. It's actually good. So, okay, cool. Well, Garrett, you're officially out of the conversation at this point since you have done your homework. But for everyone else, we're going to just guess the and I guess, Garrett, I don't know if you looked up the Rotten Tomatoes, but I got the Rotten Tomatoes for The Stuff.
Oh no, I don't buy into that shit.
Okay. Well, because I got the so for anything that doesn't have a box office or budget, I just get the Rotten Tomatoes score. So for The Stuff, I got the budget for it, but not the box office or whatever, because I don't think it hit the movies. But so we'll start with The Stuff, and then we'll just work our way back up to Daddy Little Girls last.
Can I give hints? Like, can I go like up or down if they're way off?
No, don't give us
well, I mean, they're only going to guess once, and then I'm just going to. I mean, that's pretty much it. All right, so let's start with The Stuff. So what do you guys think?
Wait, real fast. Antoine, I just want to warn you that we're going to against the champion.
Oh, the champion Jew. Yeah. Lonnie's good at this game. It's a numbers game. Yeah.
So, like, Antoine, you said that you would be an editor. Garrett, you would be a director. If I'm anything in the movie business, I'm the money man. I'm like, this is how much this should cost.
Yeah. This is his part here. He's usually the closest, and hasn't been taken down yet. So, get your.
Once last week. Let's just get that.
Oh, I mean, I'm the most consistent.
Right. I mean, he backed off.
Win.
He really would have won, but he just chose something different because somebody chose his answer first. So I mean,
right.
Don't excuse my win. Don't dismiss me.
All right. So anyway, so for The Stuff, what do you think the budget was for The Stuff?
See, this one's tricky because it's clearly low budget, but it's got big people in it. So
It has
Right.
big people, and it also has like not the special effects in it were not uncomplicated. They were
Right.
like pretty intensive,
right.
but no real big A-lists people in it or real notables. And the people that were notable did not have big parts.
I'm gonna go
Right.
Right. You say
I'm
you
gonna go
what?
with
with $1 million.
1 million.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Because it's
Calculating
85,
inflation
and
here?
so I don't think I think $1 million was like a lot, not necessarily a lot back then, but it was quite a bit, but still kind of a low budget.
So are you choosing $1 million or are you backing out? What's happening here?
No, I'm saying
Are you going somewhere else?
I think that's too low. I'm gonna go with 5 million.
Like
5
a
million?
Trump
Okay.
film.
Yeah.
5 million. So do you want $1 million, DA, or are you still thinking?
no, I'm still one man.
Still 1 million? Okay. What you got, Lonnie?
1.25 million.
Ooh.
1.25 million. Okay, well, Lonnie's actually the closest. Because it was 1.7.
Damn.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Go
What do you
for
think that is with inflation? Because then someone else might have won if you're calculating inflation.
it. This man went deep. This man went deep. I don't know if anybody has that information.
We're not gonna go with
Yeah, I failed economics classes, so I can't.
Antoine's actually the closest if you calculate inflation.
Damn it.
Well, I guess I don't know. It depends on where you're getting calculated at. Antoine.
Nah,
You
give
might
it to
be
Lonnie.
wrong.
No, because
Garrett,
I was thinking in 1985 terms, so that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think when we did Terminator, I believe Terminator came out in 84 or 83, and it was 4 million.
Whoa.
Isn't that
Okay.
impressive? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, and so and as far as so Rotten Tomatoes, so we have the critic score and we have the audience score. So we'll start with the critics. What do you think the critics gave the stuff on Rotten Tomatoes? What percentage?
Oh, this
8%.
8%.
I think
Gotcha.
40 years, it's probably risen a little bit. I'm gonna go 22%.
22.
Damn it, Garrett.
Well, go 23. You can cut off.
No, I'm gonna go with like 15.
Damn it, Daryl.
Sorry.
$1. No, I'll go with 13.
Gotcha. Well, you guys are all very disrespectful with this movie. It actually had a 69%.
Yeah, people loved Larry Cohen.
and that was the critic score. So now for the audience, what do you think the audience gave?
I'm gonna go 22.
Hold on. Were they giving out cocaine when the critics went to go see it?
They were giving out the stuff.
You don't realize we're actually all the stuff.
Right. So what do you think? Audience score?
I'm gonna go
Audience
with like 50.
50?
I'm gonna go with 22 again.
22?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 15.
I'll go with 38.
I think more people review it now than back then. So
Right. So it actually, I guess DA was the closest. It was 45%.
Yes.
45%.
Wait, what did you say, DA?
Technically,
said, like-
Antoine would win, but
Well,
What'd you
I thought what'd you say? DA? I thought you said 38 or something.
no. Antoine said 30. I said 50.
Oh, okay. My bad. I thought you said 38. Okay, so Antoine got it.
Woo.
Because you were over.
I was
if
right
this-
there. I was right there.
If this is the Price is Right rules.
I was right there.
I'm pleasantly surprised by that, though. Go the stuff.
Go with the stuff.
I really, to be honest, I really like their jingle. You know, you can't get enough. Enough of the stuff is not enough. Or
I
something.
hate it. Enough is never enough, and it doesn't make any sense.
Like, buddy.
I mean, it's a good jingle, though. It feels real.
But it doesn't make any logical sense. You have the same word meaning two different things in the same sentence.
Some
Enough
people call
is
that
never enough.
Brilliant.
Exactly. You can't get enough of this stuff.
Nah, man.
That's why it sold as fast as it did.
Hey, anybody who has enough and wants more, Antoine he's done with him. Moneyball, and he's like, you got enough. I'm sick of this shit.
I was gonna, Antoine, after we're done here, watch the trailer for the stuff. That's what originally got me interested in it. I found the trailer on YouTube. They just released an ad basically for the stuff.
Okay.
Oh wow, I'm gonna actually check it out with them. Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
All right, cool. So Moneyball. What do you think the budget was for Moneyball? You say you know all these, right, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, it's not hard to remember 3 numbers. So
Yeah, I got you. Okay. So the rest of you guys, Moneyball. What you think they made it for? The budget, 2011 film.
I'm gonna go with somewhere like 70 million.
70 million.
Yeah.
Oof.
Brad Pitt's expensive, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with like maybe half
Of 70 or
mil.
half a mil?
Yeah.
Oh no, wait. Hold on. I'm sorry. I have a quick question.
$500,000?
Like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. 50, basically. Half of 100.
Oh, 50 million. Jesus Christ. Okay, what's your question?
I'm gonna go
Sorry.
with half of something I haven't.
Right. Did Jonah Hill win an Oscar before or after this movie?
He was nominated, but he didn't win.
But that was for this movie.
Yes. I don't
Okay.
think he's ever won an Oscar, but he was nominated for this.
Okay.
All right. Who did he lose to? This was a good performance.
Somebody really good. Maybe Jared Leto.
He should have
Yeah.
lost to Leonardo DiCaprio, but who's saying something?
Oh,
So,
see,
okay, so
The Wolf of Wall Street. He was a nominee.
oh, okay. So you going with 50 million?
I'm gonna say 40.
40, and what you got, Antoine?
70.
70. Right. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So actually, I guess Lonnie's the closest without going over. It's 47 million. But
Hell, I'm like right there. I'm like here. Damn.
yeah. Close. And then the box office. What do you think it made in the box office?
You said
105.